It was May 29th, 2020, when Monty and Lynette Kepke came down from Montana to fly at Cedar Valley. So the next morning, just a beautiful, beautiful morning, I climbed out and started circling around while Monty finished setting up his wing on the ground. Had to circle a few times before he finally was ready and started his takeoff run. His machine sure is beautiful with that black and gold wing. He turned to the west, swung out past the airport, lined up with the east runway, and made a low pass. I followed him around and watched as he flew low over the east-west runway, heading east. He waved at Lynette, and then we climbed out and began heading far west for 5 Mile Pass. We headed west along the highway, out past Cedar Pass and Fairfield. Past where Tyson Foods is building a new chicken processing plant. And then finally got out to 5 Mile Pass, where the Bureau of Land Management has a big, big ground recreation area for people on their four-wheelers. So here we were looking down at these people camping below, many of them picked out cooking their breakfast at the time. We waved at a few of them, and then continued on up through a little notch in the hills and began a gradual swing back towards the east to return to the airport. Monty and I were chattering back and forth to one another on radio frequency 123.45, which we use for in-flight communications and advisories around the Cedar Pass Airport. And I couldn't help but remark to him, "Look at all those poor people stuck down on the ground. They think they're having fun, but they don't have any idea what they're missing." And sure enough, I don't think they do. Looking out ahead of us there, several miles to the east, probably about 15 or 20 miles, I'd guess, there we could see the south end of Utah Lake. It's really not very scenic country out here, just pinon and juniper over some rolling hills. People down below zooming around on their motorbikes and four-wheelers and all kinds of contraptions like that. And then heading back toward Lake Mountain and Cedar Pass and the little airport that we call home. Since quite a bit of this is pretty repetitious, I've cut out quite a big chunk of the video. I'll just try to include the things that are a little more interesting, like videos, for example, of Monty and his machine flying along beside me. There he is down below, a couple 100 feet lower than I was at this point. Somewhere along in here he asked me, "How does my chute look?" And I said, "Well, it looks black and gold." I don't think that was the answer he was looking for, but it was right. Kind of interesting too at this point, I'll point out that long blade of grass wrapped around my left steering line there. Interesting what happens when you take off in a grassy spot with long, tall pieces of grass. And over there, just to the right side of the picture now, is a large black spot. Oh, I'd guess maybe 30 or 40 acres. That was a rip-roaring fire just yesterday. Most likely human caused, like most other fires are around here. The wind was blowing strong, and it really got to ripping and rolling. There's Monty again, just coming up on that burned out area. And then just to the right of there is the West Desert Airport. That's a pretty busy little operation with a kit plane factory there where they build little airplanes. Anyway, I got on the radio here and made sure Monty and I stayed well to the north of that field so we didn't interfere with their traffic pattern. And as the camera moves by my GPS there, you'll notice that we were flying, between 5,500 and 600 feet above sea level. And that puts us about 500 or 600 feet above the ground at this point. The air was incredibly calm. It was just as smooth could be. And if we get another look at the GPS here in a little bit, you'll notice that the speed showing on there, that's actually our ground speed. It automatically corrects for wind speed that might affect us, speeding us up or slowing us down. But most of the way out on this trip, we were running right around 30 or 32, 33 miles per hour ground speed. This was one of the best mornings for flying I think I've ever had in all the years that I've been flying. It was just incredibly beautiful. And it was warming up. Later in the day, the temperature got up to around 94, which after a chilly winter and spring is kind of a jolt. There we go, indicating, let's see, what's that say? 28.2 miles per hour. We had a little bit of a headwind from the east here. And looking This area was once a very big agricultural area, probably mostly irrigated alfalfa and things of that sort. But now it's pretty rapidly transitioning as more and more housing developments are built to support the electronics and tech businesses that are coming into the area of northern Utah County. It's kind of a shame, I think. There are still a few peaceful little places out here, like the tiny towns of Cedar Pass and Fairfield. But more and more and more, it's becoming urbanized. As a matter of fact, the county commissioners there have authorized something like 36,000 new homes to be constructed in the next few years. The big question is, where in the dickens is the water going to come from? Here I was following Monty along some of the over the fields out this way, and we were approaching the new Tyson factory that's being built there. I don't know how many thousands of chickens they're going to be able to process every day, but it's a big, big building under construction. I think we'll see it out here in a few moments in the distance. No, I guess we drifted on past that Tyson plant. Heading back now towards Eagle Mountain and Cedar Valley Airport. That's Lake Mountain in the distance there. And there's Mount Timpanogos beginning to show up there above the towns of Provo and Orem, just to the right of Monty's Wing. And so now, just cruising on back to Cedar Valley to land after a terrific, wonderful, fantastic flight. And there's the airport right straight ahead. So we're coming in to make a quick flyover, check the wind socks, make sure which direction we need to land, and get ready to put these things back on the ground. All the while wishing we could fly longer and longer. But there is something called fuel we have to consider. Jim Sandoval is in the process of test flying his Kit Fox, and you might see a little cloud of dust down below here as the Kit Fox took off heading to the north ahead of us. I don't think I really got a good picture of it though, doggone it. So, coming down for low pass over the airport to check the wind again. And then, as it turned out, we swung around and landed to the east. Once again, we cheated death. Excellent.